Alright, got the hose. Scooby's over here trying to help. How you doing, Scooby? There he goes. Scooby's working. Alright. So I got our rubber hose, 3/8. Put that on there. I got some stainless steel, all stainless steel clamps here I use. So these are clamps. So you just put that up on the bike. You want to have the clamp hanging down so you got access to it. And you slip it up on the barb up in there. If you put a little bit of oil or grease up in the hole, it makes it go a little bit easier. So put a little dab of stuff on there. Try to work it up in there anyway. Okay. Now let's see if we can get this to go in there. Okay, that one's up in there. Ah, damn, hard on my finger moving it. My quarter drive at. So quarter drive tools come in handy for doing this here. So use a long extension so you get in there whatever angle it takes to get to it. Put it on the line a little bit. Oop. It slid all of a sudden. There we go. Okay, it's up in there now. Camera's way over here. Okay, so there you see the hose up under there. It's coming in right up through here, under there, and my hand's in the way now. Got the clamp where I can get to it. You got access to get to it if you have to again. And we got plenty of length over here, obviously, to do whatever we want. So now we go ahead and drop the oil tank back down, put the 2 bolts on the other side on there, and we're going to use 1/4" lock nuts on that side. And we don't use those stupid lock washers and flat washers and stainless steel hardware, which I hate. Let's see, look in front of the camera a couple more times. So you get the 7/16 wrench to use. Left a darn hammer over there, didn't they? Hey, you gotta take that out if you want to work on the tank. Put it back where it goes. I put the flat washer and then the lock nut on here. Okay, now we're back on this side. Everything's falling down. There we go. Yeah, what are you going to do if everything doesn't fall on the floor at least 3 times, alright? Okay, I'm not sure if you want this to be high or low. I'm thinking I want this to go underneath the oil line. Helps to put it in correctly. Dumbass is putting it in backwards. It goes this way. 1/4 inch goes on the starter motor, not the 3/8. Pick up the oil line, stick the hole where it belongs. There we go. Take the nut off the starter. Line goes on. And you get to put the nut back on there. And you want to make sure you adjust it up high enough it does not rub on the clutch arm, clutch lever, whatever you want to call it. So it has to go uphill at about a 45-degree angle to keep it off the starter, off of the piece there. Okay, that's tight enough. But you want to make sure it's not so low high it hits on the bottom of the oil tank up under here. This oil tank has a sharp edge here, so you don't want to be into that. So you got a good finger under here, and you got a finger under here on the clutch arm lever, so it's not hitting on anything. So just make sure everything's got good clearances, you'll be fine. Okay, good stuff up out of the way. Okay, now we get our battery box, starter relay, regulator, combo. This bolts to the oil tank right here. So it just lays up in here like this. And obviously there's a bracket. It's supposed to be here. It's not on here. So we have to get this bracket in here too. So we gotta go find that now. Oh, this is one of these boxes over here. It resembles this bracket right here. So that's probably going to go right on those 2 holes. So you lay this up in here like that. Put that where it belongs, and yep, I'm pretty sure it's going to go in those 2 holes right there. You're going to take these 2 acorn nuts off, stick that bracket on there, and put the acorn nuts back on. Nice and easy. Except I need a wrench to do it. Hopefully the stud's not coming out with it. And it looks like the stud is coming out with the bolt, which means we are not getting this out of here. I'd be shocked if that came out all the way. And it looks like it is. Damn. I'm surprised. So if you don't have a stronger Loctite on here than on the nut, stud unscrews, like this one just did. So now what we gotta do is gotta get this acorn nut off of here, put this stud back in with some red Loctite on it this time, and then we put the nut back on where it belongs. So is this one gonna be the same problem? Nope. This one's doing like it's supposed to do. Alright, it came off. And the washer does not want to come off though. So, there it goes. Broke it free. That goes in there like that. But we gotta get this fixed here first. Now if I eliminate that flat washer, there's probably enough room to do it. So look at how deep the stud goes in there. I like to add a few more threads than what it has. So we're gonna definitely move the stud out a little bit further. So right now we got about a little over 3/16 of thread showing. I want to get some more showing. So I'm gonna go put this in my lathe, hold it at the chuck jaw, and undo this nut. So I'll be back. Okay, I got the nut off here. So it was threaded on there that deep. So I'll go ahead and fix that problem. So you take 2 nuts, regular nuts, jam them together, and you can tighten the stud up into the case. Just go like that. Just go like this, squeeze them together, boom, done. Now we can jam that into the case with red Loctite on it. So you can see, we want to go in there deeper than it was. It was only in there about that far. I want to go in there at least that far. At least that's what we want to try to do. And that's got blue. Here's my red. Here's my red. Using red Loctite. Or Dynatex, whatever that is. Thread locker compound. How about that? Alright, so we got a little bit on the threads there. Jam that back in the hole. Hopefully it goes in there with no problems. Better view over here. Try to get it where we can see better. Okay, it's in there pretty tight. Let's go. It takes forever to do these jobs, doesn't it? Okay, so now you can see that stud's a good 1/8 inch deeper in than this one over here. So it's got more holding power on it now. So now I go ahead and put a little blue Loctite on the threads here. Re-Loctite this back in. So we put our part in here we need. I'm going to put this in with no washer on it to get more thread holding power. On a thicker bracket you don't have to have a washer on everything. I don't know if we can get this nut to start in here now. Yeah, we can't get the nut to start. Yep, that acorn's not going to go in there. Now that the stud's in there straight and tight, you ain't going to get that to start. I don't think I can force it enough to do it. One chance of doing it without totally screwing up everything. No, it ain't going to go. Tried to force it, not going to fly. Alright, we use a regular nut on there. So we're just going to use our one of the nuts we had left over. Actually, I should use a lock nut on that. Got Loctite, we don't need a lock nut. We'll put the washer in there so it's flush, it looks a little bit cleaner. There we go. Use a longer wrench for more leverage. That's good leverage. Okay, that one's good. Stupid stainless steel nuts again. Hate them damn things. Okay, so now we got this all sitting here. Should be able to put this on now. There we go. Let's see, this is probably a ground wire. No, this is going to a hot terminal. So you got to find your ground. Okay, this wire here is a ground. So the way these work is you have to ground out this battery box or the regulator will not work because the regulator grounds into the box. And the same for the starter relay. Now if you want a separate ground for each of these two parts, you don't have to do that. Now the regulator is set up to have a ground on it right here because it's rubber mounted to the box here. So even though you ground this box out, this is still rubber mounted, it's not grounded yet. So you have to run a separate ground for this. And the relays down here, they don't have a ground terminal on them to run a ground wire connected to them. So you have to actually ground the box. In our case, we're going to ground the stud out there. So we still got to have a separate ground for the regulator. So one of these wires might be some kind of a ground. I'm not sure where all these things go to. This one here is a hot wire right here. So this probably goes up to our regulator terminal, which says battery on it, which is this lower one. It says battery on it. This one is armature and this one's field coil. So these two go to the generator direct. This is where the battery terminal wire goes. So this wire here goes up to here somehow. So it's going to be a tight squeeze like that to get up into that spot. So I don't know why it's not on there right now. It's a good time to hook it up and do it that way. There's going to have to be at least another couple more wires, or at least one more wire connected to this one. So one of these is going to have to go to the battery. If you know how all your systems work, you don't need to, you can trace wiring pretty quickly because you know where the wires have to go to. It's just a matter of figuring out how they had it routed before. So this one goes underneath the battery right here so it doesn't get hit. Alright, so we got that in there. Put that up on there. Get my lock nut on here. Same on the back. Just put those so it doesn't fall off. This is going to have to go to our ground place. Probably went off to one of these two studs that we just put over here. Be a good one to go to. I'm going to stick it underneath this one right here, which is off the starter. Keep going all over the place, this camera. So this mounting bolt under here, which we just used, is where I'm going to put the ground, right over here. It's hard to see, but that's the mounting bracket. I don't want to come off the kicker stud. I'm going to come off the starter motor itself. 7/16. That's the right one. You can also use a separate stud on the very top of the starter if you want to. It's available to be used. I'll go ahead and come right off of this stud here. We already got a washer sitting here to protect it. It's not a good idea to tighten a nut up right onto a terminal. It's best to have a washer under it. Keeps you from tearing it to pieces. Okay, that's tight. Okay, so we got that part handled. On the later bikes, they had a chrome cover that went over this that hides all this stuff, which makes it even more fun to work on it. But this bike doesn't have that cover yet. At least I haven't seen it. Take a quick look in the box just to make sure I don't have one, because I don't see one. And I don't see it, so that's good. One less part to put on the bike. I like that. I don't like a bunch of stupid covers anyway. Camera's in the way a little bit of my feet. Okay, now I got to put the two bolts that go to the oil tank here. That bolts this all together as a package, and you got the 4 mounts here that hold it together. 2 on this side, 2 on that side. This straps the 2 pieces together, makes them act like one. So that's these 2 bolts right here. They're fine thread 5/16. Sometimes it can be a bear to get started. Try to get a couple threads started, and then you can go ahead and pull it together with just the threads. But you do have to get it started. So this bike here, looks like they've already hogged out the holes in the battery box quite a bit already. These are a lot bigger than they're supposed to be for 5/16. They're they're over 3/8. Somebody already butchered the oil battery box a little bit, trying to make it easier to hook up. So now the oil tank needs to go backwards and the battery box needs to go forward. Yep, dropped it. Yep. And I went to the floor. That's a good spot for it. It's always a good spot on the floor. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do that, make this line up better. I'm going to hook up the rear one first. The leverage will work better in my direction for alignment. I think kind of half a hole off is our problem. I'm going to go loosen up those nuts on the other side a little bit more than I already got them loose. Give a little more free play. Okay. See if that helps me any. Not really. Kind of force it. Get one thread in there if you can get it. Hard on the hand. See if I get this down like half a thread on here. There, I think we got it. Okay, yeah, we got it started. See, this one I had to squeeze it together. This one here I had to push it apart, so that's why I changed the bolts. Pulling itself together right now. There we go. I'm going to tighten them up. A bigger ratchet for that. Tight. Tight. Okay, now you tighten up the 4 small nuts on your Lord mounts. Yep. Gotta have the right size socket though. You have to know how much torque to put on this stuff. Give it a little bit, not that much. You know, it makes it pretty rigid. I gotta do the other 2. So don't stop in the middle and not tighten everything all up. So make sure you get the whole system tight. Don't stop halfway through and not finish it. That way you know you don't miss anything. If you do complete systems, you don't miss stuff. Okay, so get that in there. These 2 here are tight. Got all this up in here. The ground was down on this bolt down under here. This one was available to be used over here, but I didn't use it. I just used this one. So we got good access to put oil in it. We haven't got oil in the tranny yet. It's still dry. So get all that mounted. We got the oil line run down here. We still got to hook up to this and get all the other oil lines connected. Here's our other battery cable sitting over here. Goes up to here, ground. Now we're missing a cable that goes to the other side. I'm not sure where that one is. I don't think it's hanging here. I haven't seen it yet, so my guess is it's missing with a starter motor. Would be my guess. Okay, this cable here comes out this other side here. The solenoid's right up in here, so this is going to kind of go like this. Just a matter of keeping away from the clutch cable that goes across. Clutch cable goes in through here, or rod. That's just a mouse trap. It'll be a rod going across, not a cable. So you gotta figure how that all routes in. This is our vent line for the primary, because we tap this up in here for a vent. So now this just hangs off the back. So we might as well get that in there right now. We've got a good gap between the starter and the tank, the oil tank and the tank. If you find that the oil tank is laying on top of your primary, you need to replace your Lord mounts. They're bad. Okay, that goes in there like that. So the problem right now is that this can get into our chain over here, which I kind of don't like. I don't think it gets the chain, but it might be able to. Now if I go across this lower mount over here, there's no way it can get to the chain. Go right through these wires probably too. Yeah. It's all about routing. You do want to keep it up high, otherwise water will get in here. Shift linkage is right under there. I got to keep it out of that too. Okay. The problem right now is it went the wrong direction over here. It's looping back on itself under here, which I don't like. You have to go down between the fender and the starter, preferably. Other side. Get in here like that. Push it in there a little ways. There it goes. Should stay out of the chain. Should sit right like that. It's not jammed between anything. Just kind of lay in there. It goes up underneath the swing arm in there, which you can't see it, so it's good. And it's how the shift linkage through here, so it's a good spot for it. All right, ain't bad. Okay, here's our jack shaft. You see how that seal goes in there in the gear. Now this bracket here has to go into this pulley right here. This goes in there like that. Now these have to go up inside the pulley. So what I do is I bend these up and down, shove it in, and then bend the lever back, the fork lever back into the pulley. So that's how you do it, and it engages it over here. Oop. Now if you're lucky, you might be able to pull it out far enough that I can do it without doing that. But I can't do that with one hand, so we'll have to get to that. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do that one. Go over here. Camera slows me down. Alright, let's see if we can make this quick and simple. Move it up far enough. Slide this. See, this goes in and out of a bunch, so slide all the way in. Slide this all the way out. And bingo. We have room. See, it works like that. Starter motor turns over. The Bendix turns one way, and the other way it locks up. So it turns the starter motor over backwards. So it does turn it like it's supposed to. So that means it's working. Alright, that's good. Now this here boot is just a umbrella seal, basically, is all it is. It's supposed to be inside the cover here. A hole like that. Okay, you gotta make sure all this is put together correctly. So this roll pin right here has to be in vertically, not sideways. Pull this off so you can see it. So you can see that roll pin's right here. It has to be vertical. If it goes sideways, groove that goes in here, there's a slot it goes into. So the slot's like that. If the roll pin goes sideways, it can go in the slot and get all tangled up. If it's vertical like this, the dowel pin can't go in the slot. It just pivots off it. You see how it pivots back and forth? So that's how this system works. So you gotta make sure you do that correctly. The other thing is you'll make sure this gear here, on the ring gear on the clutch hub, clutch basket, you need to have probably anywhere from a 3/32 to an 1/8 inch clearance. So if it gets down to 1/16 or less, you start having problems. It gets out of phase with a solenoid and it doesn't engage correctly. Alright, so that's good to go there. Now this is ready to put the solenoid up in here right now. Find the solenoid. It was laying here somewhere. Oh. There we go. Okay, here's the solenoid here. Here's the mounting spacer and the 2 bolts. I forgot the seal. So the way this works is the spacer goes between the solenoid and the primary cover here when it pulls down. So when it tightens up, there's a gap right in here. And then they had a sponge rubber type seal that went in here. This is the new one. That's a rubber, real soft rubber quad seal. So it works a little bit better. So we'll put that in there like that and stick it in. You also want to make sure you lubricate the plunger a little bit. So you get a little bit of grease on that. Oh, and there should be a spring too. I didn't see that yet. Yeah, you gotta have a spring. There's supposed to be a spring on the plunger right here. Didn't see that yet. That might be missing. Let me take a quick look in the box. Not there. There it is. Kind of an important piece. It's what disengages everything. So that's what disengages a lot of this stuff. Okay, so we got that on there. A little bit of Loctite here. Tight your bolts in. Like that. Usually what I do the top bolt first. So we put the bolt in, spacer, and you lay it all together. Get the bolt started. Like that. So now the spacer is just jammed up here on the tripod, but the spacer right now is just hanging right there, but everything's being held in, so you don't have to hold it. You don't need to have 5 fans trying to hold the damn thing together. So if you do it like that, then you can take the lower bolt here and just stick it in the hole, reaching by on the back side over here. Kind of wiggle around a little bit, support with your finger and rotate it with the other one. Get it to start, and now you're going to both in there. You gotta make sure the O-ring gets up where it belongs on that. And then you tighten it all up in there. So I just use a 1/4 drive ratchet with a 6/8 extension, works pretty good. I'm holding my thumb right now. Just work it in a little bit. Okay, there's the one side in. Get the other one in. You want to make sure the seal stays up over the little collar it goes on. Otherwise it'll slip down and leak. Okay, you tighten up the lower one. That's good and tight. Come up here to the top one. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Make sure everything still works like it's supposed to. There you go, we're good to go. And this cable here just goes like that right there. There's supposed to be a boot here. And it looks like this should have gone on the other side of that black bracket, because it's a bad place to be. It's putting a sharp edge on the cable, which will rub through and cause a nice big arc. See how it's hitting right here heavily on the bracket? Excuse me. So this needs to go on the back side over here. The problem is the lever's up here, clutch arm. So I got to figure out how I'm going to route that. But this isn't going to fly. Now I also found the other cables over here. We got more cables. I don't know why we got extra parts. So, must be mixed up with some other stuff. Now this here is a weird looking cable. I'm not sure what that's all about. That looks like a ground cable. This is probably what they're using for a battery cable, but see the holes are all the wrong size. It's supposed to be one small and one big one. We got two big ones. This one here is one small and one big one. So this one's either going to go up to the oil, all the way to the battery over there, or this is going to be turning to this cable here. So I might have to put this in there. Have to see how that works. Got to figure out that routing, but this routing here is not going to work, as you can tell. So we'll have to work on that a little bit. That's not a good way of doing it. So what looks good from one side does not look good from both sides, so you got to make it look good from both sides. Otherwise you have problems. Like I said, if you put a hose around this to help protect it, that will help for a while until it rubs through the hose, and then you got to fire again. So it's best just not to have it rooted against stuff like that at all. Alright, so now we got everything mounted in there like it's supposed to be. So there you go. I get the Lord mount up in here. The other one's over here. We got a good gap. It's not going to bounce against it. So everything's up there where it's supposed to be. This is all working. So we got that good. So this is ready to put a primary drive in here right now. Or we go back over here and work on cables on this side over here. And work on all this mess right here. So you can take your pick. They both need to get done. So, alright, I'm going to go get some more parts and I'll be back.